Hello and welcome to the lecture series on computer communication networks. We were having the discussion on the network layer from module 3, and this is the final video on the topics from the network layer. And this is Abhilash KJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. For more video contents on computer communication network, you can visit my YouTube channel. So in the previous videos, we had considered the different topics from the network layer. In the last video, we had a discussion on the network address resolution, or sometimes abbreviated as network address translation, that is NAT. How exactly one can monitor, overcome the problem of the distribution of addresses through ISPs by making use of having two set of addresses. One is the private address and other one is the global internet address. So in this video, we shall consider the next concept. Though the discussion in this video will be on the forwarding of the IP packets. So when we considered in the initial part of the computer communication networks, module 3, the network layer, we started the discussion with the responsibilities or the duties of network layer. So one of the services that is provided by the network layer was routing and the forwarding. Both are interrelated terms. Routing involves in the process of finding the route. Forwarding involves the process of passing the packet or transferring the packets in the route that is determined earlier. Thus, the process of forwarding, the process of moving the packet in the selected route to its destination is called as the forwarding. So, since we have already discussed the concept of IP addresses, now we shall relate the process of forwarding to the concept of IP addresses. So, internet is a collection of different networks, or it is combination of different links or networks. So the process of forwarding here means to deliver the packet to the next hop in the specified route. Here the next hop could be the final destination or the intermediate connecting devices. As a network is nothing but the combination of host as well as the connecting devices, the packet in the transit from source to destination in between will visit multiple connecting devices. So these connecting devices will be connecting the two different networks, or it is an internet device which will connect the device, which will connect the host to a internet to facilitate the communication between source to the destination. So to deliver the packet or deliver the information from the current node to the destination, the packet has to traverse the multiple networks in a given internet scenario. So the initially, to forward the packet, one has to have the information regarding which is the next hop the packet has to visit in order to reach the intended destination. So in that note, when the IP protocol, that is internet protocol, was originally created or invented, it was designed as the connectionless protocol. And over the time, the tendency has been to change from connectionless protocol to the connection oriented protocol. We shall discuss both the cases here, how exactly the forwarding could be implemented in connectionless scenario as well as in the connection oriented scenario. So the first category in which we shall be discussing the role of IP as a connectionless protocol. The forwarding will be done based on the destination address that is present in the IP packet or the IP datagram. So when I use the information of the destination address that is contained in the IP datagram, so in that note, we are implementing the IP as the connectionless protocol. In case the forwarding decision is made based on the label that is attached to the IP datagram, then the IP implementation is the connection oriented approach. So let us consider the first case, that is the forwarding based on the destination address. So which is a traditional approach which is not prevalently used in these particular days. Here, the forwarding decision requires the host or router to have the forwarding table. So since the movement of the packet is based on the destination address contained, each of the intermediate hosts as well as the sender and destination and in the connection with the connecting devices, in order to felicitate the movement, it has to have information in terms of the forwarding table. So whenever a host generates a packet that has to be sent, or whenever the router receives the packet that has to be forwarded, it will consult the routing table or the forwarding table to match up the information that is present in the packet to be delivered or the datagram to be delivered. One of the familiar technique that is used for the implementation was the classless addressing. In the classless addressing, the entire address space, that is 2 power 32 addresses, are considered as a single class. So because of that, the forwarding has to be implemented dependent on the specific informations. So those specific informations are mapped to one row of information for the block that is involved. So here the table shall check the forwarding, the host or the router shall check the table with reference to the first address in that particular block. In the classless addressing, addresses are divided into blocks rather than classes. So if one can identify the block to which the current address is belonging, the forwarding decision could be made effectively. So in the process, as we had considered, given an address, it is easier to find out few information regarding the network to which it belongs, and it is easier for one to find out the class to which it belongs or the prefix, that is network to which it belongs. So all these information, the first address of the block and the last address of the block and the number of addresses that are present in the given block could be retrieved dependent on the address that is being given. But most of the cases, the destination address will not give much clue about the network to which it is belonging. So to overcome this particular problem in classless addressing, the source has to mention or it has to include the mask /n. N is nothing but the length of the prefix address or the length of the network address in the table. So thus in the classless forwarding process, which shall require 4 pieces of information in order to forward the packet or IP datagram. The first one is the mask, that is the which shall give me the address of the network address. So here the mask value could be find out by the prefix length, that is /n. And once you know the mask, you can easily find out the network address. Once the network address is known for that network, which is the link I have to choose for the forwarding process, is mapping is done by making use of the interface number. So interface number is purely a function of the number of networks the router is connected to or the host is connected to, and the IP address of the next router. That is, in the internet, the packet has to traverse multiple devices, intermediate devices that are called as connecting devices. Since we are speaking of network layer, the device which operates in all these three layers is considered as router. That is why the packet has to move from one router to another, or from one host to the router, or vice versa. Thus, to felicitate forwarding process, the router or the host has to consult this forwarding table. And to build the forwarding table, all these informations are required. That is mask, network address, interface number, and the IP address of the next router. So when we implement the addressing schemes for classless addressing, we have seen that these two informations are combined together. That is, the prefix length as well as the network address is combined into the single information. So that is how it is implemented. If n value is 26 and the network address is this, one can combine these two information to have a single row of information, which is nothing but 180.70.65.192. This is a network address slash 26. This 26 will give me the prefix length or the network address. So next we shall consider how exactly the simple forwarding module is implemented and the forwarding table shall be constructed. We have considered a router which has three interfaces. That means the router is connected to three networks. So that is, it is connected to one network via interface M0, other network via interface M1, and the last network via interface M2. So whenever I receive a packet, first I have to, in order to felicitate or it has to perform the forwarding phenomena, I have to build an forwarding table. So the building of the forwarding table involves the following operations. Once the packet is received, one has to extract the destination address. So from the destination address, all the other forwarding decisions has to be find out. That is why in the packet, the router shall extract the destination address information. Once it is known, then it will go for the searching of the forwarding table. So the destination address is matched against the entries that are present, the network address entries that are present in the forwarding table. Once the match has been found, then it can find out the next router address as well as the interface on which the packet has to be forwarded. So this is how the forwarding table will look like. So the first column will have the entries related to the network address along with the mask. So this is the combined address. So I have a network address followed by the mask, that is the length of the prefix. Once I know this, so I have mapped or configured my router. If the network address is this, then the destination network address is this, then this is the next router to which the packet has to be forwarded, and it has to be sent through the interface M0. So if the address is this, the packet is forwarded on interface M0. Similarly with respect to other. So whenever I receive a packet, first the router will extract the destination address, then it will search the forwarding table to match the entries. Once the entries are matched, then the router knows on which interface the packet has to be forwarded and which is the next device or next router that is connected to that particular network. And once the searching is complete, the search table phenomena or the process shall give information regarding the interface number as well as the next hop address. And this information is used by the other modules or the protocols to felicitate the forwarding process. So here the forwarding table is searched row by row. So individually I'll try to match the network address here. if the network address is not matching here, I'll skip or I shall continue to the next row, and this process continues until I find a match. In case if the network address is matching with the first column, then the information in the next two columns are retrieved. If my address was x0, y0, z0 and t0, so I instantly have a match in the first column itself. Then I retrieve the information from the second and third column in order to facilitate the forwarding phenomena. So there might come a case wherein I don't have an entry for the destination in the table. On that note, the default value will be there in the last column, and it is not shown here, and that default value will give all the destinations that didn't match with the existing rows. So if the match has not been found, I'll forward the packet, or I'll forward the information by making use of the default informations. So sometimes in literature, the value of n could be shown in terms of prefix, or it could be represented in terms of uh, n leftmost bits. That is, in terms of bit representation, it could be done. So both the concepts are similar here, and the only thing is that the presentation of information is different. So here I am representing the IP address in terms of dotted decimal. I could choose to represent the information by making the binary values also. So instead of having 180.70.65.192/26, I can choose only the leftmost 26 bits in order to perform the exact matching process. So we shall consider an example to illustrate how exactly the forwarding table is used in order to perform the configuration. So this is the network we are considering, and we need to build the forwarding table for router R1 in this case. So the forwarding table consists of three columns. That is, one, I have network address along with a mask. Then I have the next hop IP address, that is the IP address of the next device. And I have the last column, which is the interface. So I have one network here that is having the network address of 180.70.65.192/26. So if I receive a packet with this particular destination address, then I'll try to match the prefix lengths here first. Since one can see here, so the address that is matching this IP address, so here I have mentioned the IP addresses of the network, so or the network IP addresses in blue, and the interface individual addresses in terms of the yellow color. So this is the network address I have. So if I have the destination address as this, then the matching is done on the first column itself. Then one can know that if I'm receiving a packet with this destination address, the packet has to be forwarded on interface number M2. So the matching, the first column clearly means I retrieve the information from next two columns. As we can see, this IP address is mapped, or it is connected to the router via interface M2. And similarly, this is with respect to M0. So this is the IP address. This IP address, the packets intended for this destination IP address has to be forwarded on the interface M0. And similarly with respect to other two scenarios. And I spoke of a default situation. The default situation is one wherein I don't have any matching entries in the columns. If I get any destination address which is not present here, on that note, I'll consider the default, I'll consider that case as default address, and all those default addresses are forwarded on the conventional interface of M2. So this mapping could be made dynamically, or it could be done dependent on the network administrator. Similarly, I spoke of the second way of forwarding packets by making use of the bit representation of the same. So once again, here the forwarding table will not have the entire network address. Instead, it will have the information related to the prefix bits, that is a network address representation of the bits. I don't have suffix here. So once again, I have three columns, leftmost bits of the destination address. If my address was xyz slash n, I'll just have n bits of the total IP address. I'm not having all the 32 bits, but I'm choosing only the n leftmost bits, and then I have the other two columns are same. I have next hop IP address and I have interface address. So the first address could be represented as this also. So I have since the first IP address had 26, the mask value of 26. Here I have, this is 1 byte. 8 plus 8 plus 8, I get 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. So I have entered only the 26 bits, that is representing a network address. And if I'm matching, if I have a packet destination address whose entry is matching with this, the packet has to be forwarded on M2. The second address we considered was this network, which had prefix length of 25. You got 8 plus 8 plus 8, 24 plus 1 is 25. Then I have 24. So this is 24 bits purely. And then I have 22 bits, and last one is a default address. So the entries in the forwarding table could be the entire network address, or it could be the leftmost n bits of the prefix. Next we shall consider the concept of the address aggregation. So whenever we make use of the classful addressing, the forwarding table just requires a single entry. So that single entry will enable an host to get connected to a site outside the organization. So the entry will shall define the location or the address of the host, even if the subnetting is implemented. So whenever a packet is received at a router, the router shall check for the corresponding entry in the forwarding table, and it will forward the packet accordingly. But the problem arises when we are making use of the classless addressing. So when we are doing the when we are implementing the concept of classless addressing, it is very highly unlikely that uh, I have more number of the forwarding table entries. Since I don't have any classes, because of that scenario, the number of entries, because each individual address is a different network altogether. Because of that, I might be having a large number of forwarding table entries. So since the classless addressing divides the entire address space into the manageable blocks. So the since the size of the table is increasing, which will result in a large amount of time that is spent while searching the individual addresses. To address this problem, the concept of address aggregation is implemented. So let us demonstrate the same. Once again, I have considered the same uh, four addresses, which are four networks which are connected to a router, that is R1. From R1, I am connecting to different another router, which is R2, which is somewhere present in the network, in the internetwork. So R1 is connected here to four organizations, and each of these four organizations, since the prefix length is same, that is 26, that is slash 26, the n value is 26 in all the cases, each of the network can have 64 addresses. How exactly are we getting 64 addresses? So out of total addresses that are present, 26 bits, that is out of 32 bits, 26 bits are representing network. Then each of the network can have 2 power 6 addresses. That is 2 power 6 is nothing but 64. So each of the block or each of the organization has 64 addresses, and R2 is present somewhere in the internet and it is connected to R1. And one can clearly say here, since R1 is connected to 4 different networks, each of the network has 64 addresses, R1 will be having a larger forwarding table. On the other hand, since R2 is connected to the limited number of interfaces, it will have the limited or the smaller forwarding table. So for R2, if I receive any particular packet within a range of addresses, the only decision it has to make is from receive at M0 and forward it on M1, It has only less options. But when it comes to R1, it has to map the addresses from M0, M1, M2 and M3 and take the according decision to forward the packet on M4. So this is how the table is, forwarding table of R1 will be looking. So we have a network with this address, that is starting with the address 0 is connected to M0. So this is the first organization, this is second organization, third organization, and this is the fourth organization. And finally I have this address, that is with 0.0.0.0.0/0. So the data has to be forwarded. This is the default address I am getting. So this default address shall forward the packet to the address of R2. So any packets I am receiving here has to be forwarded to the R2 on interface of M4. Thus, so this particular process is called as address aggregation. Why? Because the blocks of addresses for the 4 organizations are aggregated into one larger block. So here before R1 I have 4 organizations with individual blocks, but when I look from R2, these all blocks are connected or are combined to a single larger block because I have only one interface. So all the 4 networks are mapped into one single connection or one single network, one larger network. So this concept is called as the address aggregation. So the advantages of having this is that R2 now may have the longer table if the organization has addresses that are not aggregated, but R1 is having the larger forwarding table here, but R2 is having the smaller table. Because of this, the routing time, the decision making time, the forwarding decision making time shall reduce subsequently. So next we shall consider the concept of how exactly the process of matching is done in the forwarding tables. So the first approach or the first technique we shall be making use is a longest mask matching. So let us consider a case wherein one of the organization is not present in the geographical areas very nearer to other. So the idea of address aggregation can be still applied with the concept of the longest mask matching principle. So this principle here states, if the forwarding table is sorted from the longest mask to the shortest mask, the time consumed to make the forwarding decision will reduce. So if I have 4 different networks with the different masks, such as /27, /26 and /24, the forwarding table shall be searched. The forwarding table shall be configured in such a way that the longest mask will be the first entry and the shortest mask shall be the last entry. So I have considered here, I have 4 networks, out of which the 3 networks are connected to router 1 and one of the network is connected to router R2. So in case I receive a packet at router 2. I am receiving a packet at router 2 for this organization. Then the first mask at the router that has to be applied will be the first address of this. That is, if I receive any particular packet for this, I have the destination address of 140.24.7.200. The first address I have to check is this particular address, that is 140.24.7.192. So when I apply the to route the packet correctly, the packet has to be forwarded on interface M1 and it shall reach the destination organization 4. So in that particular case, if the forwarding table does not has the longest prefix stored, on that note, if I apply the mask of 24, then it will yield me incorrect result. So this is how the operation could be implemented. If I receive any particular block of data, I'll start off with the longest mask first. Here I have considered all the masks are having the same addresses. In case the mask addresses are different, I have to start off with the longest mask to find out the exact network to which the packet has to be forwarded, on which particular interface it has to be forwarded. So this is the forwarding table of R1. So R1 has 3 networks that are connected, organization 1, 2 and 3. And this is the default address of next router to which it is connected. And this is the forwarding table of R2. And this is the default router address. So whenever I receive a packet with the destination address of 200, it is clearly seen that the packet is at R2. The router forwarding table of router R2 has following entries. If I start with 24, the mask 24, I might not get the exact results. Because of that, I start off with the maximum value of the maximum value of the length of the prefix, that is 26. So dependent on this, the decision is made, the packet has to be forwarded on M1 in order to reach the organization 4 here, or this particular organization. The second technique that shall implement the forwarding is based on the hierarchical routing. So even though we consider the concept of the longest mask matching, if the number of networks that are connected to a router are large, on that note there will be a larger forwarding table. So to overcome the problem of the large forwarding table, so the hierarchy could be created in the network or at the routers to have the hierarchical structure of forwarding tables. Since the internet also working on the concept of hierarchical, the internet is divided into backbones as well as followed by the national ISPs. These national ISPs further divided into regional ISPs, and the regional ISPs are divided into local ISPs. Thus, I have a hierarchy in the internet service itself. So if I consider a case of a local ISPs, a local ISP may be assigned a single IP address, but a large block of address with a certain prefix length. The local ISP can further divide this larger block into the smaller blocks of different sizes and assign the individual users as well as the organization. Can be both a large organization or the small organization. If the block is assigned to an local ISP, starts with this IP address, now ISP can create the blocks starting with this IP address, which the value of M may vary and it is greater than value of M. So one may ask here how exactly this reduces the size of the forwarding table. So any device outside the network, current network, that is the rest of the internet, does not know the division concept of this. That is, the network is further divided into local ISPs. So all the customers inside a local ESP are defined by this IP address to the rest of the network. So the every packet that is destinationed for any one of the network address here is mapped into one large block that is assigned by a local ISP. So when the routing decision is made at the router, I have a block of addresses that is belonging to an individual or to an organization that will be having a single address at the local ISP level. So multiple local ISP forwarding tables will be having a single entry at the regional level, and multiple regional levels will be having a single entry in the national level, and it goes on. For example, in the earlier case we considered four organizations. So four organizations, each of them had 64 addresses. The router which is connected to this organization has to have 64 into 4 entries in the forwarding table. Instead, if I can have the hierarchy in this structure, I'll divide the entire space into 4 networks. So since it is defined, it is divided into 4 networks, the forwarding table at the router, which shall have only 4 entries. Then I have the second level of hierarchy that is inside the network, wherein each network will have 64 entries separately. But outside world does not know this division inside the ISPs. For an if a guy is observing this from outside the network, they all are belonging to the single group, and inside the local ISP, the router has to just recognize the sub blocks and route the packets accordingly dependent on the destination address. So if the customers are belonging to the larger organizations, on that note, it can create the multiple level of hierarchy by performing the subnetting operations. So that is dividing the existing network into the smaller networks, and dividing the subblock into the smaller subblocks. So in the classless addressing, the level of hierarchy are unlimited because I have the freedom on having the setting the length of the prefix. So if we go for classless addressing, it is limited to 5 classes. But when we go for the classless addressing, since one can choose any number of the prefix length, the level of hierarchy that is supported in classless addressing is a larger one. So let us consider an example to illustrate how exactly the hierarchical routing is implemented. So this is the regional ISP of one particular network which is having this IP address. So this is the network address for the regional ISP, which has total address of 16,384 addresses. And these regional ISPs are further divided into 4 local ISPs. And the local ISPs are offered address of 4096. So if I add all this, I am getting 16,384 addresses. And these local ISPs are further divided into, local ISP 2 is further divided into 4 large organizations, and the local ISP 3 is divided into 4 small organizations, and the local ISP 1 is divided into further into the small ISPs. So this local ISP is divided into 8 small ISPs. Thus, each of these ISPs will have the address from 1 to 128. That means each of the small ISPs can support 128 users. And these are grouped into, these 188 groups, individual addresses are grouped into 512 addresses. And these 512 addresses of 8 groups are divided into, are grouped into 4096. So this is how an hierarchy could be done. So for a person outside this, he shall, if the person is belonging to a local ISP, then he has 4 entries because I have total 4 local ISPs. So the person in this particular local ISP has 4 entries. That is the larger organization 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the local ISP here has just four entries. So local ISP here has total of 8 entries, and each of the small ISPs has 128 entries. So if I had only one table, then I should have been had total of 16,384 entries. Instead, now I have divided this into a different hierarchies. So here I have 4 entries since I have 4 connections here. So if I come here, I have 8 entries since I have 8 smaller networks. If I come here, I have 4 entries. If I come here, I have 4 entries. So in this level of hierarchies could be built in order to have the easier forwarding phenomena. So the first local ISP is divided into a sub-block of 8 smaller blocks. Each of the block is called as smaller ISP, which can give service to the 128 households starting from H0012 to H128. Each of the household may have 4 addresses each. Since the network addresses we are speaking of, these are the network addresses we are speaking of, my total address length, network address length is 30 here. So out of 32 bits, 30 bits are defining the network address. So I'm left with 2. That means the number of users are 2 power 2. So each of the household can have 4 entries. So like such, there are total 128 users here. So 4 into 128 will give me 512 users. So each of the small ISP is giving you 512 users. How exactly I'm getting? I'm repeating this again. I'm dividing the smaller ISP into 128 networks again. So each of the network is having this network address with a prefix length of 30. So total address length is 32. So 32 minus 30 will give me 2 bits. So 2 bits are identifying the number of users. 2 power 2 is nothing but 4 address. So each of the household is getting 4 address. So as of such, I have 128 users or 128 networks. 128 into 4 will yield me 512, and 512 into 8 will yield me 4096. So similarly, here I have considered a network with the uh, prefix length of 22. That means 10 bits are representing the 10 bits are representing the network 10 bits are representing the number of users, that is 2 power 10 users are allowed in this case. So that means each of the large organization, 2 power 10 is nothing but 1024. So each of the organization can have 1024. So as of such, I have 4 organization. 1024 into 4, I'll get 4096. So here I have considered the prefix length of 24. That means I have 2 power 8 users inside each individual network. So that means each of the organization may have address block of 256 addresses here. So all the routers in the internet with the address of 120.14.64.0 to 255 are routed at the regional ISP. Once it comes here, outside network will look this entire network as single ISP address or single network. Because of this, the number of entries that are required, we shall reduce here. So the next technique we are considering is the forwarding based on the destination address by making use of the concept of geographical routing here. So in order to reduce the size of the forwarding table further, one may extend the hierarchical routing into the geographical routing. So instead of dividing the entire address space just into the larger blocks, one can assign these larger blocks into a specific geographical area. As of the entire address space, the entire classless addressing space is divided into larger blocks dependent on the number of population present in a particular geographical area. We can assign a larger block to America, a block to the Europe, Asia, Africa, and so on, dependent on the number of continents we have. On that note, the entire address space has to be divided into 7 sub blocks. And further, the router of any of these cases, that is a router which is present at America or at Europe, will have only one entry of packets for all the packets that is destined for the Europe in their forwarding tables. So all the addresses inside one block will have one entry. So the router shall have, if I have divided entire address space into 7 sub blocks, the router can have maximum of 7 entries. So 6 continental addresses and 1 default address. So the routers of ISP outside the America will have only one entry for packets that is destined for the America in their forwarding tables and so on. So the next is the forwarding table search algorithm. One can implement the algorithms to perform the table searches. So in classless addressing, since the network information is not present in the destination address, one can go for the method of the longest prefix match. So what we have considered earlier, that is longest mask matching mechanism could be implemented here also. Once again, the forwarding table is divided into buckets, wherein each of the bucket will be having a prefix. So the router first try to find out the longest prefix. If the destination address is found in that particular bucket, then the search is complete. If the address is not found, the next prefix or the next bucket is searched and the process continues until the address is found. So it is very obvious that this will take a longer time. To reduce that or to have a solution for that, one can have the concept of data structure that is implemented to perform the searching. Instead of searching the list, one can search the data structures. So the candidate in a tree could be searched easily rather than searching in the mass. So the next concept is based on the forwarding phenomena based on the label here. So when we considered the forwarding based on the destination, it is more of connection-less service. It is not required for a source to know exact location of the destination or the exact route on which the packet has to be forwarded. Instead, the packet in the process of transit was finding out the path it has to select in order to reach the intended destination. That is why the process is called as the connection-less forwarding. But the process somehow in somewhere in 1980s, the operation of IP was made a transition from connectionless to the connection oriented protocol, wherein the process of switching process of routing was replaced by the switching. So one can link this concept to whatever we have considered earlier. Two ways in which the packet can be forwarded. One is the datagram approach and second one is the virtual circuit approach. Datagram approach was purely based on the destination address. So that is why the concept of routing comes there. So it was a connection-less service. But when we considered virtual circuit concept, the forwarding was done, the routing was done dependent on the labels that are present in the packet. So because of this, in order to have a proper communication, the virtual circuit has to be created first, then the packet forwarding will be implemented. Thus, it is more of connection oriented operation. So on this note, in the connection oriented network or in the virtual circuit approach, the switching operation will be done. The switch forwards the packet based on the label which is associated with the packet. So here the routing is done based on the searching of the contents that are present in the table, and switching is done by accessing the table by making use of an index or the label that is used. In other words, the routing involves the searching and switching involves the accessing. So whenever the forwarding algorithm gets the destination address of the packet, it will dwell the information into the masked columns. So once the masked column is found out, from which the destination address and the mask is applied to find the exact destination address, then it will check the network addresses in the table until it finds the match. So this particular process involves both the operation of switching as well as the switching as well as the virtual circuit concept. So first one shall find out, dependent on the entries I have received, uh, dependent on the entries I have received, the forwarding algorithm will calculate the destination address. Once the destination address is found out, it will apply the mask in order to find out the exact destination address. Then it is searched in the table until it finds the match. Once the match is found, the router shall extract the next hop address and the interface on which the packet has to be delivered at the data link layer level. Let us look into the illustration of the same. So this is the packet I have received. So the packet has, this is the actual datagram and this is the label that is attached to the packet. So this label is used as an index to search the contents of the forwarding table or the switching table. So here I have an entry which is the index value is 004. So once I receive the packet, the forwarding table will be searched for this index. Since once the match is found, it can calculate the next hop information. That is, it has to be forwarded on the interface 2, and the next label on which the packet has to be considered or the index is 0012. So the packet is forwarded here, and at the switch I have three interfaces, and since the index is matching with 004, this entry, for this index the interface on which the packet has to be forwarded is on 2. So I have received the packet here. The switching operation will forward the data on the interface 2. So the search operation is performed on the table, forwarding table or the switching table, and the packet will be forwarded subsequently. One can see here, initially when the packet was received at the switch, the label was 004, and when the packet is going out on interface 2, its label is changed to 00112 as per the entries that are present in the switching table. So in order to efficiently implement the concept of forwarding based on the labels, the concept of the multi-protocol label switching is implemented. So over the years, in early 1980s, many of the vendors started manufacturing routers which shall implement the switching operations. So over the time, the IETF approved a standard list of standard which is called as a multi-protocol label switching. So here the conventional routers that are present in the internet can be replaced by the MPLS routers, which shall uh, forward the packet which are based on destination address, and it can also forward the packet behaving like a switch. That means initially all the operations were based on the forwarding operation was based on the information, that is destination address. As the forwarding phenomena evolved, the concept of the labels came into picture. So one cannot completely replace the network devices, the routers with the capability of forwarding based on the destination addresses with forwarding based on the labels. So to implement or to support or to felicitate the functionality or interoperability, the IETF came up with a standard of multi-protocol label switching, wherein the routers enabled with MPLS can support the forwarding based on the destination address also. It can support the forwarding based on the labels also. When it is behaving like a router, it forward the packet based on the destination address. When it is behaving like a switch, it will forward the data or the packet based on the label. So thus, whenever I am forwarding the packet, the forwarding based on the destination, the device will be operating as a router. So when the forwarding is based on the label, then it is performing a switching operation. So whenever it is behaving as a router, MPLS forward that packet based on the destination address. Whenever it is behaving like a switch, it forward the data or forward the packet based on the label that is present in the packet. So to facilitate this, a new header is included to support existing IP as well as the MPLS. The IPv4 address does not support the extension concept, but IPv6 does support that. To facilitate MPLS forwarding, the new process of encapsulation is proposed, wherein the entire IPv4 packet is encapsulated into a MPLS packet, and this MPLS is a layer between as if it operates as a layer between the network layer as well as the data link layer, and the entire IP datagram is encapsulated as a payload inside the MPLS packet, and MPLS header is added. This MPLS header shall be having the information regarding the labels. So this is how the encapsulation operation is done. So initially I had the IP payload here. So this entire IP payload is encapsulated inside an MPLS header. So if the destination address based forwarding is done, the device operate as a router. And if the forwarding is done based on the label, then it is operating as a switch. So this is how the MPLS header can be made. It consists of a number of headers that are in terms of stacks of headers. I have a label followed by EXP field, that is for the experimental purpose. Then I have stack field and TTL field. Here the label field is 20 bits in length, which shall define the label which is used as an index to search the forwarding table at the router. And experimental field is of length 3 bits, which is reserved for the experimental operations. And the S field, that is the stack field, is a single bit field which is used as a situation of subheaders in the stack. Whenever the bit value is 1, that is when S is equal to 1, that means the header is the last one in the stack. So these are the stack of addresses we are having. If S value is set to 1, then that indicates this is the last address or the last header that is present in the stack. And TTL value indicates TTL value is a 8-bit value, which is very similar to the TTL field in the IP datagram, which means time to leave. So each field each packet will visit the number of routers. As the number of routers are visited, each time the TTL value is decremented. So when it reaches the 0, the packet is discarded, or its maximum lifetime has been reached. The packet will be discarded on that note. So here the hierarchical switching could be implemented. So the stack of labels in the MPLS shall allow the hierarchical switching here, which is similar to the hierarchical routing, wherein I have a national ISP followed by regional ISP followed by the local ISPs. So similarly here also a packet with the two labels can be used, one as a top label which is for to forward the packet through the switches outside the organization, and the bottom label could be used to route the packet inside the organizations. That is whenever I have the sub networking implemented. And the another kind of routing operation that could be done in the special cases when I have the routers as a packet switches. The packet switches are one of the predominant technologies that are practiced in day-to-day life now. So the packet switches at the network layer are called as routers. The routers can be configured either to operate as a datagram switch or as a virtual circuit switch. So we shall discuss more with respect to this in the coming sections. So this in brief gives you a concept of the routers as packet switches. So till now we had considered the concepts of the forwarding of IP packets in terms of forwarding based on the destination address, the concept of address aggregation we considered, and the longest mask matching technique, hierarchical routing we considered, and we considered the geographical routing concept also, and the forwarding based on the label concept we had considered with multi-protocol label switching. So that completes this particular module. So all these templates are referred from Slide Carnival, so which provides a wide set of the free templates for all the presentation needs. The link is given in the description. I hope you like this particular video. If you have liked, please like the video, share among your friends, and subscribe to my channel for further updates on computer communication networks. Thank you so much.